Welcome back to One Hit Wonderland, where we talk about the full careers of artists who are known for only one song. And today we're going to take another trip to Nashville. The year is 1992, and country music is undergoing an unprecedented commercial boom.
Gone country.
This one genre accounts for roughly a fifth of all music sales, and line dancing becomes a national craze. In fact, country music becomes so big that during that year, 2 country artists earned primetime specials on network television. The first one featured Garth Brooks, the man who led the 90s Nashville boom and would go on to be one of the best-selling artists of all time. The other? Yes, the darling of Music City in 1992 wasn't Alan Jackson, George Strait, or Reba McEntire. It was a mulleted bow-hunk of a man who called himself Billy Ray Cyrus, and who rocketed to the top of the charts with his first single, Achy Breaky Heart.
Don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart.
Now, most people nowadays seem to know that Billy Ray Cyrus had a hit song back in the early 90s, and about 5 years ago, he re-emerged on the coattails of his Disney princess daughter. But your average person couldn't tell you a damn thing about the guy that doesn't involve the words achy, breaky, or miley. Or mullet. Which is weird because Billy Ray Cyrus was not just a guy with one hit, he was a goddamn superstar in '92. These days, you would never imagine that the Achy Breaky Heart guy topped the album charts for 17 weeks. Yeah, it's still one of the best-selling debut albums of all time. How on earth did we let this happen? Well, let's find out.
He might blow up and kill this man.
The Billy Ray Cyrus story basically begins with Achy Breaky Heart, so we might as well just skip ahead to that.
But don't tell my heart, my achy breaking heart. I just don't think he'd understand.
Actually, no, we're backtracking about a year here. This is the original version, called Don't Tell My Heart, by an obscure short-lived country band called the Marcy Brothers. You'll notice the lyrics go achy breakin' heart, which makes sense because breaky is not a word. This was not released as a single. It was offered to the Oak Ridge Boys, who passed on it because their lead singer thought achy breaky was a stupid phrase to try and sing. And keep in mind that the Oak Ridge Boys are most famous for this.
Giddy-up, boom, papa, mow, mow. Giddy-up, boom, papa, mow, mow.
Eventually, this song got scooped up by one William Ray Cyrus, a struggling artist who had tried for years to get a record deal in LA before eventually snagging a deal in Nashville at the age of 30. And country music was just blowing up right around this time, but they didn't have anyone like Billy Ray because most country stars just weren't that good looking. Brooks and Dunn may have been very successful in their day, but they didn't exactly get the girlies screaming. But Billy Ray sure did. It's tempting to call him the redneck Rico Suave, and I have to believe that was part of why he took off the way he did. But what about that big hit single?
You can tell the world you never was my girl.
In retrospect, it's hard to figure out why this was such a big deal. Not to put too fine a point on it, but Achy Breaky Heart is kind of a doofy song. Full disclosure, when I was 8, I thought Achy Breaky Heart was the shit.
Oh, you can tell your friends just what a fool I've been.
So, what is this song about? Well, it's about a man who will excuse any behavior from his girl when she breaks up with him as long as she doesn't tell his fragile, achy breaky heart. Now, this is a sentiment that could have been played straight. In fact, right off the top of my head, I can think of one country song that did just that.
Yes, I've got it through my head. I just can't break it to my heart.
But of course, Achy Breaky Heart isn't a sad song, it's a big happy sing-along with a huge chorus. Most people are familiar with the concept of a broken heart, but Achy Breaky Heart one-ups it. His heart will explode.
And if you tell my heart, my achy breaky heart, he might blow up and kill this man.
I think he may have been dating the bride from Kill Bill. And if you think the words achy breaky are too goofy to stomach, you probably won't do well at all with the verses, which are all about the various other people and parts of his body you can tell to do various things.
Oh, tell your Aunt Louise, tell anything you please. Myself already knows I'm not okay.
It is incredibly cornball, yes. And many of them don't make sense.
You can tell my arms go back into the farm. You can tell my feet to hit the floor.
Hey, Billy Ray Cyrus's arms, go back to the farm.
Or you can tell my lips to
Hello, fingertips. I, the lips, have been instructed to inform you that you shall not be reaching out for her no more. Got that? Yeah, it's dumb. But take it from someone who knows there were plenty of country songs then and now that are just as corny, if not cornier. But they didn't have the bad luck of being a national dance craze that seeped into the popular consciousness and aged pretty badly. More than the silly lyrics, though, I think it was Billy Ray's singing style that sunk this song's reputation. I can only describe his affectations as somewhere between fake Springsteen and fake Elvis.
You can tell your mom I moved to Arkansas. You can tell your dog to bite my leg.
Thank you very much. And believe me, he definitely played up the whole Fabio and blue jeans thing as much as possible. I seem to remember him favoring a lot of sleeveless shirts and vests with nothing underneath. For anyone who gets all shocked every time Miley gets photographed in a skimpy outfit, well, I guess you just don't remember what Billy Ray mania was like. I can't find any footage of his primetime special, but trust me, the whole night was practically a damn Chippendale show.
Don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart.
Again, I cannot emphasize how successful Billy Ray Cyrus was that year. His CD, Some Gave All, went 9 times platinum. So why don't you know any of his other songs? Well, failed would be an incorrect way to put it. Billy Ray Cyrus never charted another pop hit, but he wasn't a pop artist, so it didn't really matter. The thing about country music is that within the genre, one-hit wonders are close to non-existent. If you have one country hit, you can generally count on at least a couple others, and Billy Ray Cyrus was no exception to this. That said, Billy Ray's post-Achy Breaky career was not exactly stellar.
I hear you just got married.
Cyrus was never a critical darling, either inside or outside the country music world. Part of it was his persona, but also part of it was that he made very polished, very not country music. In fact, Achy Breaky Heart is probably the countryest song he ever recorded. Matter of fact, that's exactly why he had such trouble getting a record deal in Nashville for a while. His second single, Could Have Been Me, made it all the way to number 2 on the country charts, but it's pretty easy to imagine it being performed by Bryan Adams or Richard Marx or somebody like that.
It could have been me, standing there with you.
He spat out 2 other hit singles from that album, and even though it wasn't an official single, he also got some play from the album's title track, Some Gave All.
All gave some gave all. Some stood through for the red, white, and blue, and some had to fall.
It's a story of a veteran telling you to thank our troops for their sacrifice for your freedom, because you would be talking in German without them, you lazy, goddamn disrespectful punks. Whether you can listen to this song probably depends on your tolerance for right-wing-ish songs about freedom and the soldiers and everything, but for me, listening to this song for the first time in 2 decades, I just cannot get past Billy Ray's absolutely wretched, overwrought singing.
And if you ever think of me, think of all your liberties and recall.
Hey, will you? What the hell is he doing? I vastly prefer Achy Breaky Heart to this.
Some give all.
Then came the second album.
Say you love her strong and true. Let her know what she means to you.
Billy Ray hit a bit of a sophomore slump with his follow-up, which only went 1 time platinum. And this was back in the days when a platinum album could be considered a disappointment. Oh, what a fat and spoiled nation was the record industry in those long ago days.
In the heart of a woman.
The wheels were coming off the bandwagon at this point, but he was still having hits, so really who could complain?
Deep in the pocket, still folded up tight, was a letter you wrote.
My family had this album too, and though I haven't heard these songs in years, I know them like the back of my hand.
I know the words by heart, I know every line. From this ain't easy, do you get along just fine?
It's amazing how much he sounds like Trey Parker's rock voice.
America, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah. Don't stand in high, step.
Oh, also, I would be remiss if I did not share with you his guest appearance on Dolly Parton's single Romeo, in which Dolly and a gaggle of other female country singers drool over how hot he is.
I may not be in love, but let me tell you, I'm in heat, Romeo.
The man was without shame.
Won't you be my Juliet?
And that's pretty much where the story of Billy Ray Cyrus, hitmaker, comes to an abrupt end.
We made it through the flood of '93.
perhaps he was a victim of his own persona, but he tried to transition to more mature music for his next couple albums, and the critics actually started appreciating him for once, but the public did not. I guess no one really wanted the Achy Breaky guy to start singing about the government's shameful treatment of Native Americans.
Let them soar like eagles across the trail of tears.
He only managed to notch one more top 10 country hit before the 90s ended. Some Cats in the Cradle thing about being with your family.
Can't you see I'm a busy man?
By the new millennium, Billy Ray Cyrus was a has-been and a joke. Well, obviously, you already know that Billy Ray eventually did make a comeback of sorts, mostly through acting. First in a hilarious cameo in the David Lynch movie Mulholland Drive.
Just forget you ever saw it. It's better that way.
And then some medical drama called Doc, where his daughter also guest starred for a few episodes, which got her own Disney Channel sitcom, and the rest is history. I have limited experience with the Hannah Montana TV show, but take my word that based on the evidence I have, Billy Ray Cyrus is one of the most wretched actors who ever lived. I'm gonna throw up! And again, it's hard to imagine Olivier managing to elevate this material. He also never stopped making albums. A duet with his daughter brought him another top 10 single, his first in a decade. And for the record, Billy Ray insists that he's not one of those showbiz dads who steals their kids' money, but having a famous daughter has been pretty damn good for his career, and he's still touring now. I guarantee that most people wouldn't know that there was a song called I Want My Mullet Back without Hannah Montana.
I want my mullet back.
I believe this guy's in his 50s now? It's good for his age, doesn't he? Yes and no. Now that I've actually got a chance to sample the full Billy Ray Cyrus oeuvre, I'd say that his later material wasn't as catchy or good as the material he had in his early years, which is probably why his career died out. But at the same time, he became a much better performer once he stopped doing the "Hey, we're here" shit. But you know, that's the persona he chose for himself. He's the one that wore the damn ponytail and the tank tops. His short shelf life was just something he brought on himself. I don't think it's a coincidence that Billy Ray Cyrus's career died out right around the same time that Tim McGraw showed up and started doing basically the exact same shtick, but way better. In any case, time hasn't smiled on Billy Ray's heyday. Modern country music is still basically the house that Garth built, and most of the biggest names of the early 90s are big names still. But Billy Ray's time in the spotlight has been pretty much wiped from memory. I don't think we're ever going to get a major Billy Ray Cyrus revival. But if nothing else, we largely have Achy Breaky Heart to thank for the line dancing craze that goes on to this day. Billy Ray Cyrus, your legacy lives on.
En a la estación.